Olá, minhas pequenas abóboras, eu sou a e sejam bem-vindos a mais um vídeo de Genshin Impact com o nosso lindo e maravilhoso arco de Fontaine. Se você é novo aqui no canal, já aproveita e se inscreve, ativa o sininho, deixa um like, deixa um comentário, porque isso ajuda muito, vai lá, não custa nada, é só isso que eu estou te pedindo. E bem, se você não assistiu os primeiros episódios, vai lá assistir também, tem a playlist completa aqui no canal com todos eles. E bem, no episódio anterior nós acabamos que meio que nos despedimos de Navia e bem, acabou que nós não nos despedimos dela porque acabamos nos encontrando de novo. Conseguimos novas informações sobre quem poderia ser esse tal de Vacher, que muito provavelmente é uma das garotas que foi dissolvida em água que desapareceu também. E por isso vamos voltar a ajudar no caso. Também fomos atacados misteriosamente por um bando de Gardemex e finalmente tivemos um diálogo com Clorinde. E bem, se você não quiser perder, vai lá assistir, ficou bem interessante. E sem mais delongas, bora pro vídeo. Tá bom? Cá estamos nós. Vamos agora para a base da Espina de Rosilla de la Corte de Fontaine. É cá pra baixo, em algum buraco aqui. Fontaine é meio confuso, mas um dia a gente entende. Aqui mesmo.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone.
Very good. But let's not let our guard down.
É uma boa não fazer isso. Tá.
I shall find rooms for our respected
Obrigado pelos quartos.
Now, let's continue, traveler.
Bem, se eu não estiver errado, pelo que eu entendi, quem fez o Gardemex foi o pai dela, da nave, então não tenho tanta certeza. Eu desci aqui bem rápido uma vez só pra... Como é que diz? Pegar o teleporte aqui de baixo, mas não sei já como é que tá a situação aqui, eu não cheguei a olhar muito bem. Aqui é o que? Onde as pessoas pobres ficam? É tipo uma classe rebaixada, algo do tipo? Tá achando que vida só volta Booking? Interessante. Me lembrei um pouquinho do Star Rail. Logo acho que no primeiro mundo que a gente vai... Tem uma parte subterrânea também. Que eu tenho que subir, jogo? Só vir pra cá. Olha, consultora jurídica. Interessante. Pra mim, eu tô claramente lendo Toys. É uma loja de brinquedo, ninguém me convence do contrário.
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Obrigada.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
Ela tem o povo, mas não tem o dinheiro.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago.
Your father... He was the previous boss.
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain...
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And my father's name is Callus. Yes. The same one they call Callus the Unfaithful. In this 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor, instead of standing trial.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure at the time, I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence. But strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena. 3 years later, I still don't understand. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself.
Você tem uma pista do porquê?
The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time.
Ah, so that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that...
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in. but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get... If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when... And now, here I am investigating his death. You really are a handful, aren't you, Papa?
Pelo bem da sua família. Sabe, somos bem parecidas quanto a isso. Ué, você também quase... Meu Deus. Deixa quieto.
Please, if there is anything...
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances.
Wait! If Callus was such a good man...
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one...
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused...
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent...
Oh! Her? Well, then... Isn't that as good as saying that she was...
O clima tava bem ruinzinho.
Yeah. That's not the sort of thing that you can just let go and move on.
Então por isso que a Clorinde estava
Has
atrás.
always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing there was only ever one choice.
It's not that I don't understand her at all.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows how you feel. You don't have to force yourself to do that.
Paimon, seu pai também foi morto em arena.
Afterward, Miss Clorinde told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety.
E assim, viu que ele pretendia morrer ali.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask? All right. Anyway, that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the
Entendo
end.
quão importante isso é pra você.
Thanks. You two should go...
Yeah.
Please, relax and get some sleep. We will ensure you...
Mais um exército de Gardemex vindo atrás da gente. Descansar. Tem como entrar no quarto? Meu novo Pacífica passa sobre a proteção de Espina de Lucilla.
Paimon slept so well, huh? Navia?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for...
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back, but never mind that. When did you get back?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigate...
Wait, so...
How could I after having such critical new evidence of...
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to and that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all... If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently.
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. In that case, let's...
No, it's nothing.
Ai, mais barraco. Cá estamos nós e lá vamos nós. Tem bastante livros aqui. Aponta para a direita. Olham para uma porta e seguem em direção à porta.
State your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official
Oi, Sedania.
Huh. This place does look pretty heavily guarded.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please...
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago?
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be...
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Ah, thanks so much.
Tão simples assim passar pela segurança. Você é patética, Sidene. Você é patética. Oi.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Neuvillette. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance.
So you're not...
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see.
Direta.
In that case, please wait here a moment while I...
Vacher. A gente tá de azul, né? Esqueço de trocar o meio.
Neuvillette would be so easy to talk to.
Pai, eu acho que ele pode te ouvir. Belos olhos o moço tem.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been... There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Estamos de volta ao ponto de partida.
What if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much.
Ahem.
O bichinho dela é lindo por
Miss
trás.
Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
Vai tocar no ponto difícil.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die? Just everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well my apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Oh. Navia.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there's...
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder,
What is it? Did you think of something?
Ele estava do lado de fora quando aconteceu?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
Vamos ver uma coisa que você não sabia na época.
Wait.
Uau, o fato que as pessoas podem se transformar em água.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain?
Oi?
Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier?
Cara, eu acho que o Neuvillette é o tal do dragão Hydro que o Fremine menciona lá atrás. Porque toda vez que ele diz, o Fremine explica que quando começa a chover é porque o dragão Hydro, ele tá triste. Ele está chorando. E o Neuvillette, pelo que dá a entender, ele não é humano. A gente entendeu desde o trailer que ele talvez não fosse humano, por causa de seus olhos. E agora dá pra entender que ele tem um longo tempo de vida. Então, pode ser que ele seja o dragão Hydro que o Fremine falou. Eu já tava pensando nisso há um tempinho, mas agora que eu tô vendo que assim que a gente saiu depois de ter essa discussão ali dos arquivos e começou a chover, muito pode ser porque o próprio Neuvillette está assim triste. Ele só não demonstra, como ela própria diz. E através da chuva a gente consegue ver a tristeza dele. Nossa.
All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get...
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over...
Vamos
Great.
lá.
Let's...
Ok, aqui nesse buraco. Eu já vim aqui também, mas não pra muita coisa. Tá fazendo um barco aqui.
Whoa, what a huge ship.
There's no need to be so surprised. Well, my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is a gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in this. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself?
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all.
Bora lá. Que bonitinho. Dá pra gente botar um barco desse no nosso brilho de relaxar, não?
Melus, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important part. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really... You still remember, right, Melus? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Seria possível o idealizador ser a mesma pessoa?
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity and at a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Oh.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention
É o
that
que
the
eu disse no outro
primordial water
episódio.
could be used?
Yes, it did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial. If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely... As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of...
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath. But no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation. Put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers. All of whom only sold the stuff, and weren't privy. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret, and cultivate personal relationships with them. finally. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was all—
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they—
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing—
Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise, but considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
A terceira pessoa pode ser a culpada. Então essa terceira pessoa, que seria provavelmente talvez não o dono, porque a gente sabe que quem tá por trás de tudo ainda tá vivo, mas quem estaria ali controlando naquele momento seria essa terceira pessoa. Eles descobriram e tentaram intervir. A terceira pessoa matou o colega do pai da Navia. E assim, o pai da Navia tentou matar ele, mas assim, em defesa. Mas o cara se transformou em água, deixando ele ser o culpado, o que pode ter sido armado também para fazer ele virar o culpado, já que ele tinha interferido nas outras ações. Então, caso resolvido.
I think this third person is on that note, however. Even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's, our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new— There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wish.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely— Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as me? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malouse?
Pois é.
In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of— But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness, and the serial disappearances case cost him 5 years. Was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the— If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle—
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared—
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss.
Nossa.
To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still fun.
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find, I'm sure he'd be extremely...
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have, but thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me... Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, when he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still...
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go...
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous... There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside. But a single visit to their headquarters would be... The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine Authority?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how...
That's true. See, but things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've
You sound like you put a lot of thought into this, Malou.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and...
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have... After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, the first is Florent, Spina de Rosula's senior...
Huh?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plan. There's someone else like him too. Marcel.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. The Boss helped it to grow to its current size. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest...
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di...
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided... It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan...
I see. These? To think that the enemy we've been fighting against...
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is...
Of course. And thank you, Malus.
You're too kind, my lady. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary...
Thank you so much, Malus.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Não se preocupe.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Registro do caso de Calas. Bem, mas eu vou deixando esse vídeo por aqui porque ele já está ficando muito grande. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado. Se você não é inscrito no canal, se inscreve, ativa o sininho, deixa o like e deixa o comentário dizendo que você está gostando. Que isso ajuda o YouTube a entender que vocês estão gostando e recomenda mais, além de me ajudar e me incentivar a trazer mais rápido os vídeos para vocês. Se você não assistiu os episódios anteriores, nós temos a playlist completa com todos os capítulos dessa saga. Aproveita e já clique em um dos 2 cardzinhos que estão aparecendo aqui agora e vão lá assistir algum dos outros vídeos. E bem, eu sou o White Pumpkin e até a próxima.